And we have a lot of support on our team, and not a lot of sales is kind of our model, which is a little bit different. But ultimately, we create mega agents within our team. Is the idea. So you think of every mega agent, mega expansion location. Our goal is for, instead of having like 5 or 6 people, we really want to have 1 to 2 that crush it and do really, really well. And then our expansion uses our hub for all the back end activities, for example, listing management, transaction management, all of those sort of things. And we are a team of specialists. So we still have buyer specialists and listing specialists on the team. Our expansion really do both, would be the exception. And then very heavily supported. So last year, the 354, I think we had 7 agents, so we're averaging 50, 60 transactions per agent. As Anna knows, a couple of my agents are doing 130 deals a year. One did 131, the other did 130. So we just dive really deep. And the reason I do that is I was on a team and I had to leave that team ultimately because I felt like we couldn't continue growing in that format. So that's our model and that's what we do. But that's us.
So unpack that. You feel like you couldn't grow in that model because why?
Well,
you had
ultimately,
you had a lot of like agents that were doing less. It was like 8. What do you mean by that?
Well, back in the day when I was on a team, the assistant was really the assistant for the rainmaker, Anna. So really, she didn't help me a whole lot. She'd be like, well, if I can get to it, Tony, I'll get to it, and I'm like, oh, that made me feel just great, right? So, at the end of the day, and back then it's just kind of how it was. So I'm not faulting the person the team I was on. I learned a lot from him. He was incredible. The reality is I just didn't want to leave that team. And I was stuck at 40 to 45 transactions personally was the best I could ever do. And that was really without leverage. So what I've done with my team is build a lot of leverage around them so they're able to continue growing in my organization is really what my whole point is.
So what does that look like?
Yeah, so our listing manager, our listing agent, he has a listing manager, he's got a field rep, he's got a transaction coordinator, a stager, a photographer, all of that kind of built into, so he kind of runs his mini team within my team. And then on the buyer side, we have one agent that has 2 showing specialists, transaction coordinator, which Lori will be. Oh, there's Lori. She's right here. What's up, Lori? And so we kind of have these mini teams within our team. And then all agents on our team have the ability to have showing agents. We just ask them, hey, you got to go crush it, right? Like, if you want to have more leverage, you got to go crush it and you got to do it consistently. So we look for like 6 deals a month for like 6 months at a time before we'd even consider adding a showing specialist for someone on our team.
I love that. Yeah. So, and how does that work? Are you just hiring these like new, young, hungry people that just want to go out in the streets and show property? That it's like a grooming process before they become a buyer's agent?
No, we bring people on inexperienced or experienced, and they'll get started with us. We have Kate, our lead buyer specialist. If you're on her mini team, then you report to her. If you're an agent that we hire, you're going to report to Anne Marie on our team, which is a director. She's our director on the team, and she helps coach them and does a weekly meeting with them and helps them, get up and going and get in production.
Okay, so to break this down for me, because I love these huge numbers and I want to get my people to think big. So for these 2 very competitive people that you have at 131 and 130, you've got a showing specialist that they've earned the right after about 6 deals, two showing specialists that they've earned the right to after about 6 deals a month. You've got a full-time closing coordinator and someone running the show and operations. Is that what I'm hearing?
Yeah, I mean, Lori, if you want to chime in, Lori, feel free. But Lori basically runs that ship, on the buyer side. She's the transaction coordinator. So Lori has no less than 40 transactions at a time in the upwards of 60, mid 60s, pretty much all the time. And that's what her role is on the team.
Love it. You guys sound very efficient. Well, we'll have to have another call about those efficiencies. That's not why we're here today, but that's super helpful for us to understand how you're structured. Because when you layer in things like the promise script, you have to have the whole machine working together. Otherwise, it feels really disjointed. So let's jump into that. I know I put a whole bunch of questions on paper, and Lane, happy for you to roll through those. Or Tony, maybe you can just jump in and start telling me how this works for your team.
Yeah, so we're going to establish, we're going to talk about the promise immediately. So most of our calls are inbound, where, you know, they start out by contacting our team. So our ISA department's going to take those calls, and they're going to say something to the effect of, you know, we're going to tell you more about the promise when we come out to the house on the listing appointment. Craig's going to share what the promise means to him, and we look forward to delivering a 5-star experience to you. So we're just going to kind of prep it, right? And then the agent's going to go in, and the first page in our pre-listing packet or buyer guides are about the promise. So we've added that over time because we found out it would get to Lori and they'd never heard of the promise, right? Like when we first started, they're like, what's the promise? Like, what are you talking about? And we'd be like, oh my God, I'm going to strangle some people here. No, but no, it's a process.
I don't know what you're talking about at all.
No, not me either. So it's evolved over time. So the ISA's job will just mention it. The agent's going to really sell the sizzle, as I say, and they're going to really establish the guidelines of like, hey, we're going to give you the best experience you could ever imagine receiving. If we were to do that, how would you feel about that? And they're going to go, that would be great. And then, okay, is it okay if we ask for 2 things from you? And they're going to say yes. And then you're going to go into it and you're just going to say, okay, the first thing we want feedback. Just to be straight up with you, we want feedback on how we did. We wouldn't know how we did without this crucial feedback. The way we get feedback is an online review at the end on 7 key websites. So would that be something you're willing to do for us? And they'll say, well, 7 seems like a lot, or they'll say, yeah, I'll do 1, or whatever they say. And then I'll just say, you know, basically my goal is to thrill you so much that you're excited to do reviews for us. So at the end of this, we want to earn that right and get reviews so we know how we did for you. Does that make sense? They'll say, yeah. And then the second thing, which is really, really important, because sometime between today and closing, you will definitely run into someone that has real estate needs. And we would love to compel you to actually refer them to us. And we know none of this happens unless we provide a 5-star experience. Yeah, that's what we're going to do for you. And we would love to earn a referral sometime between now and closing. Does that make sense? And they'll say, yeah, that makes sense. Well, would that be something you're willing to do? And they'll say, sure, I would do that. Some people say, hey, I don't refer anyone no matter what. And I'm like, oh, okay. Well, my goal is to get you to change your ways on that, because at the end of the day, we want to work with people that have real estate needs. So if we can help people with real estate needs, that's what we're all about. And then once I get permission, I'm going to start training them on how to get the business to me. So Anna, when that opportunity presents itself, what I'd love to ask you is to go ahead and send me a 3-way text to introduce us when that opportunity presents itself. Will you be willing to do that? And they're going to say yes, right? And then I'm going to go into what the promise is not. So Anna, here's what the promise is not, just to be crystal clear. It does not mean everything will go perfect, because it never does in real estate. There's these things called human beings that are involved in the real estate transactions. And at times things will go sideways, but here's what I can tell you. When that happens, I'll be here to help guide you through it all. And we'll make sure that you get the promise delivered to you, and we'll overcome those challenges together. But I just want to be clear, that's why people hire us, because we have experience and we're going to help navigate through all those issues and get you to the finish line. Does that make sense? And they're going to say yes. So we're doing that hardcore up front when we meet them, right? And then through the checkpoints along the way, we're going to then add what's important. So I think, Lori, if you want to chime in, like some of the highlights of when we use the promise and do the check-ins, I think that's really valuable.
Hey, everybody. Good morning. So like Tony said, yeah, once it goes under contract, it comes to me and, the whole pass the baton. So what's important to me is when I first reach out to the buyer, hey, John, it's Laurie at Tony Baroni team. Looking forward to helping you and walking alongside of you with your closing. And then I go right into, after I've introduced myself, reiterating the promise and the referrals. So that way the client knows we want to have them experience a 5-star experience. And like Tony said, there are going to be hiccups. I like to use the term walk alongside because a lot of these buyers are maybe first-time buyers. They don't know what to expect, their relocations. So I think that's important too, to give them that peace of mind and that assurity. We're not just dealing with another name, so to speak. We're going to walk alongside of you and help serve you in that. So what I do is I present it again at the beginning, and then I also start sprinkling it back in midway of, we all know the appraisal and inspection period can be a little touch and go. So I use discretion in that arena, but in terms of sprinkling it in about midway, and then I also like to reiterate it closer to closing. So about 1 to 2 weeks prior to closing, I'll reiterate that, hey, John, just want to see how you're doing. How are we doing? If they haven't posted a review yet, I'll reiterate that to the buyer and the clients, especially if I've got a husband and wife team. A lot of times the women are more apt to do the review than the husband. So I'll kind of work alongside of them. But the neat thing is, again, just sprinkling it in, reiterating it. Fortune's in the follow-up, as they say. So if you don't keep asking, and use wisdom when you're asking, of course. We don't want to ask them when they're stressed out, right? But using wisdom, knowing, using discernment, knowing when to check in and ask them. And then, of course, at the end, if they still haven't posted a review or referral for us, then I reiterate it again. Hey, hope you had a great experience. We've loved working with you. And then I'll resend the links to the email, through the email and to our website. And then like Tony said, the 3-way text is super efficient. And then that way he or she can say, oh yeah, I do have a friend, neighbor, or family member. Okay, awesome. Let's get their phone number. We'll get them on the text with Tony or our ISA, team, and then get the ball rolling that way too.
I'll add to that too. So for example, like if there's an appraisal and they're sweating the appraisal, which everyone is, yeah. Hey, great news. The appraisal came back. We're good. Just want to let you know, John.
Yeah.
So I bet you feel relieved, don't you? Because I know I was stressed out about that too. So I'm really excited. We passed that hurdle. Here's the next thing. I'm going to be getting an update from the lender weekly. And then from there, when we get to closing, we'll have the closing coordinated. So John, just a quick check-in. On a scale from 1 to 5, with 5 being the highest, how would you say I'm delivering the promise to you so far? Right. So you're going to do that on the highlights, right? Hey, we cleared inspections. We cleared the appraisal. And we're really just programming them for the 5-star review. And guess what? If they say a 3 or a 4, you then have time to correct it with John, right? You have like, now, okay, tell me you're set a 3. What would make it a 5, John? Well, the lender sucks, the title company sucks, whatever the case may be. Then you can, I'm going to get on the horn with them right now and get them on track. So let me ask you, what type of communication do you want with them? Do you want to email daily? Do you want to call daily? What is lacking that I can help get this solved for you right now? And honestly, guys, most of the time it's lender or title. I mean, I'll tell you, if we get under a 5, I'm not tooting our horn, but we're asking a lot of questions to be able to verify. And if there's an issue, it's like, hey, title company, I just did a check-in. They're rating you guys 3 out of 5 right now. And when I asked them what would make it a 5, they said your communication's not up to par. So here's what they're asking. They want this to happen. Can you do that for us, right?
And that's going to make them start to mind their P's and Q's, because that, like, they're a reflection of your brand. And what I really, really loved that you said that kind of clicked for me was that when we check in with them, but we don't check in with them specifically. I don't know that we're saying, how are we doing on our promise? versus how is your experience going? Those are two very different things, because they're not tying it back to the promise unless you say the words, the promise, because you've already explained to them what their expectation, you're gently reminding them what they've agreed to do as well if you're outperforming their expectations. And there's nothing worse than getting to or through closing and then having someone call me or never say anything at all and never agree to do business with us again because nobody got them back on track. We didn't know that they were having a poor experience. We thought we did our job. We thought we did everything right, but they were having a terrible experience. They never voiced it because no one ever asked. That's
Yeah,
the
is there
worst place
anything
to
we
be.
can do to improve? I mean, I just went backpacking in Appalachian Trail and people kept going, "Are you good?" Like we're dying, like literally dying. "Are you good?" And everyone's answer was, "Yeah, I'm good." So then it became that our instructor said, "No, the question you ask is, are you not good? Is there anything not good?" Because then people were honest. They're like, "Yeah, my leg is actually jacked up right now." Or, "My backpack's not on properly, so it's hurt my shoulder," and so that was pretty revealing. And it kind of ties into this, right? Where you have to get real specific on, are you delivering the promise and what scale is it? And if they give less than a 5, what can we do to help fix it? And then make it authentic that you're delivering an amazing service, because that's truly what it's all about. And I'll end with this too. The referral does not work. If they don't give you a referral, they'll still do a review. And that's what I want everyone to get. When you ask for 2 things, they're going to give you a review if you did a great job, if you follow up. And that's the key. Like Lori said, the fortune's in the follow-up. The problem is we close and then they're busy and we don't follow up with them. And we're like mad, like, I can't believe they didn't do a review. Well, it's on us to follow up after the 30 days is where we get most of our reviews, are in that 30 days after closing. And a little script for that is, hey, in 2 weeks, I'm going to follow up with you just to make sure you got the link and also make sure that you had a chance to do it. I know you're busy, John. I know you're moving and you've got a lot going on, but in 2 weeks, basically I'm saying in 2 weeks, I'm following up with you and I am going to call you out if you didn't do a review, right? And then I'll call us at 2 weeks out and then they still forget. And then you let them off the hook and you say, "Oh, I'm so sorry. I didn't mean to bother you," but it's just something we measure. And I just wanted to make sure that I provided a 5-star experience. Is there anything that I need to know? No, there's not. And then they'll do it.
So let me ask you this. You mentioned, you guys are really good about getting that and asking for it during the transaction in real life, right? Obviously, the goal is to get it during the transaction. In real life, what are you guys experiencing? What percentage are you getting during the transaction by the time they close? And what percentage would you say you're getting afterwards of your
Lori?
5-star reviews and referrals?
So Lori, you want to chime in on that?
So I would say from what I'm seeing, the trend is I have a lot of buyers that will tell me, "Hey, I'll do it at closing. I just want to make sure everything," like Tony said, they kind of want to make sure that everything goes well. Of course, we can't control what title lender's doing. But I would say from a percentage standpoint, maybe 30% are doing it midway. And then I would say, your 60 to 70% are doing it either right before closing. I try to get them to do it right before, because as we all know, we've all been there when you're buying and selling, it's pretty hectic. So yeah, I would say probably 25 to 30% are doing it midway. And then we have most that are doing it post-closing or either right before.
And do you feel like you're having to kind of pull teeth from those people after closing? Because they've moved on, right? Like they're now packing their bags or unpack.
Right.
It's way more complicated. So you guys try to emphasize getting it within that window right before closing. I love that.
Definitely.
Can we talk metrics really quickly? Can we talk about what is the standard for, in Lori, I know you represent closings, but obviously the agents are involved, but how many other people do you have on the organization that are kind of trying to implement the promise? And what is your measurable goal for both reviews and referrals?
So go ahead, Tony, if you wanted to say. I was going to.
Yeah, well, yeah. So for us, it's we want to see 50% of the time we get a name, number, permission to call with a referral. and then 70% of the time get one review on one website. And then I think Lori would say I probably could not talk about the promise more with my team. I mean, they probably think I'm crazy, but I'm pretty insane about it. And I talk about it weekly during our team meetings. So we go through every closing. This really helped us, so maybe it could help you guys. We go through our closings at the team meeting and we'll say, okay, 1, 2, 3 Main Street. That one closed with Kate. Great job, Kate and Amy. The source on that was agent referral from Anna in Atlanta, and she's with KW. Awesome. And we're kind of confirming all of this with our ISA department. And then we'll say, okay, did we get a review from Mr. and Mrs. Martin or not? And then I'll stop and I don't say anything. And then Lori's going to chime in. If it's the buyer side, she's going to chime in like, you know what? I talked to Mrs. Martin. I can't believe she hasn't done a review. So let me follow up on that. And then if she needs help, she may say, hey, Kate, can you follow up on that one? I've already followed up twice. You know,
you
so
guys
we're
have
gonna,
about 40 closings a month on average. So how are you quickly navigating through that? Because right now we're doing a spreadsheet. Nikki throws it up. She says, I've asked for it. Here's who's confirmed it. Do you see anybody that you can reach out and confirm? Now she's starting to print things and put them on their desks and say, these are all the people that we do not have a review or referral from. That sounds like it's really time intensive.
It takes a lot of time, but it's really, really important. So, and then we'll go, hey, did we get a referral on this one? And then, you know, it's great because the team will hear, yeah, actually they referred me their sister. Because then people will think like, well, I never get referrals. Well, it's because you're not asking. You're not talking about it, right? And I believe you just got to set the expectation. So all of this stemmed from me to not make 100 expired calls every day. You know, I gave myself the day off if I was able to get referrals at closings. And I just got really good about getting referrals, and I'm in the referral business, right? So you don't have any competition. It's free. The people already know, like, and trust you. It's just the way to go. So replace clients with themselves by delivering outstanding, and get over yourself about asking for business, right? Like, we're in the sales business. So if you don't believe you're the best at what you do, then go do something else, right? At the end of the day, you need to be talking to people and asking for more business from them in a non-confrontational way. And this is how I do it. So Anna, so happy you had a great experience. Thanks for sharing all of that with me. That makes me so happy. I don't know if you know this, but there's actually 280,000 agents in the state of Florida. Can you believe that? And she's going to say, no, I can't believe that. So for you to choose us is a huge deal to me. And I really, really appreciate that. So if you remember, part of the promise was referrals. I don't see that I've earned a referral between when we met and now, which is fine, just so you know. But what I'd like to encourage is someone else that has a real estate need. I really want to help them like I just helped you get a 5-star experience. So let's go ahead and extend that for the next year. You're going to meet 7 people in the next 12 months on average, people that have real estate needs. I'm not asking for all 7. I just like 1. So could you refer me 1 person you think in the next 12 months? And when she says yes, I'm then going to talk about the 3-way text again, because I'm training her. And then after that, I'm going to go, Anna, is there anyone you need for your new house? Do you need a landscaper? Do you need a pressure washer? And then I'm going to do a 3-way text connecting her to all the people I know.
Yeah, so you're giving and you're not just perceivably taking. And I mean, look, Anna K. In-Town team, does this sound also familiar?
Yes, I feel like we're doing a lot of the same things or similar.
We are, but what I find to be true with Tony is that there is a level of authenticity that comes from internalizing and really having the belief that this is important. And Tony, I mean, you talk about this every week, you talk about this with your team. I didn't feel like you cheesed all over me. You didn't feel salesy. You just said, I'm going to do my job and you have a choice. And we're going to rock it for you. And if we do that, can you do just a couple of things for me in return? And you're getting their permission at every question. You're bringing them along the journey with you. And then the whole team is referencing the promise, and they're checking in, they're following through, and they're not letting people off the hook because you've delivered great service. And they're going to go back to their busy lives, they're going to do what they do, and they're not thinking about you. And the only way that they're going to follow through on that is if you gently remind them with authenticity of the experience that they had because you delivered great service. And if we put everything in the forefront that we're working to deliver on that promise, it's not a script, it's reality. And I think that, while Tony has a bigger team and serves a larger area, we deliver the same quality of service. We have the same level of support. I look at all these little faces here and know I don't feel shy about the service that we provide. Every single one of you guys, operations included, takes ownership and goes above and beyond for the people that we serve. And not all real estate companies or agents can say that. And so this is not just a ploy to get people to trick them into working with us. It's a service to them, because if we let them get into the hands of a mediocre agent, we are letting them down. That's what I believe.
I love that.
I love that.
That's really good, really powerful.
Tony, how long did it, when did you implement the promise script with your team?
It was, I always forget if it's January 2018 or January 2019, one or the other.
Okay. How long was the ramp up period? How long did it take your team to really get going before y'all felt like there was a breakthrough and it was working?
I think right now we're just kind of coming into our own. I think there's a period of people understanding like that this works and it's not a gimmick, and you got to be bold in this business. And I think a lot of it stems from confidence, right? Where people on the team have to believe they're providing the best service. And the good part, the byproduct, Lane, is that if they're not, they don't want to be in business with us. And that, like, it attracts people like Lori into an organization like ourselves where, oh, I believe in that. Heck yeah. I want to be a part of that, right? Like, you guys provide this service? Yes, sign me up. And then when you're interviewing them, we lead with the promise with that too, right? Where this is what our team's all about, 5-star experiences. And we have 2,200 5-star reviews to prove it. Do you want to be a part of it, right? And we're kind of vetting them and seeing their reaction, but it takes time. Lori would tell you I'm not the most patient person, so I get very frustrated sometimes that I just don't know if it's clicking the way it should be clicking. And then straight up, guys, if you want to know, you just ask, hey, Lane, let's role play real quick.
Okay.
Roll the promise to me, right? And then you'll find out real fast who's doing it and who's not, because the ones that are they're not doing it, right? And that's part of the process. If you got to get comfortable with it and know how to say it to clients. And I can tell you, like Lori, for example, is a shining star on our team, which is why she's on here with me today. She's really, really believes in it. She's good at it. She cares at a level that most people don't. And she just really, it's really important to her to deliver it. But it's a process, and a never ending process of that.
Yeah. Hey, Lori, quick question for you. Do you find that a lot of your clients, while they're pending and you're in communication with them on a regular basis, do you find that when you ask for a referral that they're like, oh, let me go give the agent this person that I have in mind, as opposed to just giving it to you right then and there?
No, it really works well. If they've got a referral, they're going to let me know as fast as they would let Kate or any of the other agents know. So the neat thing is, if I've got a neighbor or someone that's in, my sphere, my family, coworker, a lot of these clients are apt to tell me right then.
Okay.
And when that has happened, of course, we're doing the 3-way text. I'm, getting Tony involved, or the agent rather, if it's going to someone on our team. But yeah, they're really responsive to it. And again, just kind of going back to the reviews, how many of us buy products and services based on reviews? How many times do you go online to Google, whether it's a hair salon, a restaurant, you're looking at Yelp, you're looking at the diners reviews, right? So how much more important, like for real estate, to look at that and say, hey, a lot of our clients come from Google. So when our ISA team gets it through and, you know, they're with Kate or they're with Chris, the cool thing is sources a lot of times are Google reviews or Zillow reviews. So the neat thing is, and I don't know what that percentage is, maybe Tony knows more than me, but I would say a good chunk of those clients are coming straight off of reviews. So that's really exciting too. So that's a blessing, you know?
Yeah.
Can I clarify Lane's question? I think you answered it, but maybe not exactly how I think Lane was asking. So obviously, if you've got Sphere people in your world, you would do the three-way text. I think so for Nikki and Jennifer and Sarah, who are calling our clients or managing our clients' transactions, they're asking for the referral during the promise script. And we do bonus them based on them actually getting the referral themselves versus having them kind of, let's say John Ryan was working with somebody and Sarah Kay was closing the transaction. If Sarah asked for the referral and they're like, oh yeah, I probably have someone, but then they go to John Ryan directly, we're trying to empower our success team to have dominion over collecting those basically, because they're the ones taking the action at the end to get that referral. We wouldn't reward them for that, right? The agent's going to get to work with that person and sell them a house. The operations people are not going to get to sell them a house. So we have like a baked in bonus structure that would allow them to benefit from actually capturing that referral.
Well, we do a bonus system, the same thing. It's what is it, $250 per referral once it closes is how we're set up. And then we went on a step further and we have a place in our website where it can be logged as well. So you basically send a referral to the Tony Baroni team. So Lori could go in there and fill that out. So it gets logged to her name as well.
I love that. I'd love to see your little website. You can send me that just to kind of, because we're trying to figure out how to capture this the right way. We have a spreadsheet, you know, with CTE, but it may not be the most comprehensive way of doing that.
Yeah, we also have, I'll type this in. Our review website is pretty awesome. We're actually developing a product right now for other people to be able to do this, where we create it and then it creates all our systems with the promise, because we just get so many people asking us about it. But it's all the reviews in one place to read and all of them to write all in one place. So it's one URL instead of a long email full of links. And that's really helped us. We went from about 1,000 to 2,000 pretty fast based on that little change.
Yeah, you need to update your website.
Yeah.
I think it says 1,000. Showcase that. Okay, that's awesome. I mean, we can talk about that offline. I'd love to hear what that little product is, because we're always looking for ways to make things more efficient and not make it cumbersome for people. You guys have any questions for these folks? I want to be consideration of the time. You guys are out there doing this. Like, what struggles are you having? What questions do you have? What ahas do you have? Sounds like we're going to hit our goals.
I like the part where you reiterate, like, let me tell you what the promise script is not. Because obviously in transactions, like, there's always going to be things that come up. So you're just letting them know, like, hey, this isn't always going to be 100% like sunshine and rainbows, but like, it's our job that when we do hit those bumps in the road, we're going to commit to our promise and still, you know, strive to give you 5-star reviews, even in the hard times. So I really like that you pointed that part out.
Thank you, Jess. Yeah, that's really important, because things will go sideways for sure. And actually, that's where we shine, guys. I mean, when we have problems, that's where they're going to appreciate us even more as we help them get through those. So I think it's a big opportunity when you do have a challenge, how you face it. And hey, Lori and I just met. We just had a long meeting, and Lori's going to make this call rather than me. And she's probably going to, you know, hey, Kate and I just met. We were super concerned about this. Here was our thoughts. What's yours? Here, yeah, we agree. That's what we should do. Let's do that. And then, so we have all these meetings. We don't talk about it, right? We don't say, oh yeah, we just call them and say, we think we should do this. You need to make a huge deal about it. Hey, Kate, Tony, Lori, we all just met. We know that we're facing this difficulty, and here's what we think the best solution would be. Or here's 3 solutions. Which one do you think would be the best? And then making a big deal that we're talking a lot about him behind the scenes, because we just are all guilty of not sharing that information, right?
Yeah, if your clients don't know what's happening, they just think it's not. Yeah, I love that. We are at 12:13. We are way over. I've got to hop off. You guys have been fantastic. I'm so grateful. If there's anything that myself or our team can do in return to just show our gratitude, we're always available. And we're just trying to keep up. And I feel like if I just changed our team to Anna Banana, like Tony Baroni, we would get way more business.
That'd be the secret for sure.
Anna Banana real estate team. Done. All right,
No,
guys.
you guys
thank
are
you.
awesome. Keep up the good work, and thanks for having us today.
Of course.
Thank you
If we
so
can
much.
help you,
You.
You're welcome.
Hi,
we can
guys.
help
Thanks,
you in
Lori.
Florida. Let us
Appreciate
know.
y'all.
Anywhere,
All right.
anywhere the sun shines, Tony, call Tony.
Right. See you guys.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.
Thanks, guys.